on, everybody? It's Jimmy from over at Movie Death Blows. It's been a while. I haven't seen you guys since my Northman review. So let's just jump into it. This week I got a chance to see Top Gun Maverick, if you guys couldn't guess. I'm gonna try to keep this under 10 minutes because I don't want to bore you guys with my love and nostalgia for all things Top Gun related. But let me just say, the movie's incredible. Easily one of the best movies of the year. It's number one for me right now, so it's Top Gun Maverick, and then the Batman for 1 and 2, but Top Gun Maverick is definitely number one without question. It's also one of the best action movies we've seen in a long time. I've been waiting for this movie. I mean, I was born in 86, so obviously I wasn't alive when it came out. I think it came out in May of 86. I was born in December of 86, so I wasn't around then, but Top Gun was a huge part of my childhood growing up. So, I mean, I felt super close to it. There's a series of movies that I feel super close to because I grew up watching them and I used to watch them like every day. I guess I had just like that tick in me. So I mean, it would be Batman 1989, Aliens, Predator, RoboCop, and probably Top Gun. Those are like the top 5 movies that I watched religiously at all times, no matter what. And Star Wars, but like that's just, what kids in the 80s did at that point. So I mean, as a kid, I even got the soundtrack for Top Gun for my 9th birthday. I remember it was our fourth grade 9th birthday party at Roller Palace. I got the soundtrack for Top Gun on CD, by the way, 1996. I even had my own call sign picked out, because 100% I was definitely going to be a Navy pilot, a Navy aviator after seeing Top Gun. So I mean, that obviously didn't happen, but that doesn't change the fact of what Top Gun meant to me and millions of other kids growing up. And they were always talking about a sequel being in the works, being in development. Tom Cruise and Jerry Bruckheimer were working on it. It's going to be there. It never came to fruition for whatever reason. So, I mean, 1986 to 2002 is 36 years. Now, obviously, they shot this in 2018. It was supposed to come out in 2019, but, the pandemic was coming up and they didn't release it. And, Tom was never going to release this on streaming, he said. So we had to wait another 3 years. So, I mean, this has been done and sitting there for a while. And I can't believe we had to wait an extra 3 years after already waiting, so long at that point. And I'm not mad at it. It's just amazing. It's just amazing the fact that we're finally going to get to see, I mean, I got to see Top Gun Maverick, but I was always wondering if they would do it justice. Would it live up to the hype? Would it be like the original, or would it fall like so many others like it have, just waiting for sequels after that long, Godfather 3, obviously it's a totally different type of movie, but that's still something that fell flat. But you don't have to worry about it this time, because like I said before, Tom Cruise, Jerry Bruckheimer, the director Joseph Kosinski, the entire creative team and the cast knocked this one out of the fucking ballpark. Top Gun is it's a goddamn thrill ride of a masterpiece. It's easily, like I said, one of the most intense movies you're ever going to sit through in years, pretty much. It's probably the most intense movie I've sat through since Uncut Gems, which is like, you're kind of on the edge of your seat. What's going to happen? I don't know. But then when the planes take off, you immediately just get blown back. So it's always fun to do that. Top Gun was an awesome 1980s film. It was super fun. A lot of Cold War nostalgia was going on then. We always had those kind of movies. Top Gun Maverick is a totally different movie than its predecessor. The stakes are high this time around. It's not just a flying competition anymore. So everyone that's participating in this, Top Gun program going on right now, they've already graduated from Top Gun. They're already graduates. They've already been through the ringer. So we don't get to see that again. But where Top Gun Maverick raises the stakes is they're actually going to send these pilots on a mission, and the whole movie will be spent training to go on said mission. And it's basically like a suicide mission at that point. There's not going to be any spoilers or anything like that, but it's impossible. And who are they going to get to train these the best in the world already? Well, that's where Pete Mitchell, Captain Mitchell, comes into play, aka Maverick. So these pilots know each other personally. Really, they already have like their interpersonal tensions and friendships that are going on there. So we kind of get that part eliminated, but there's always, bravado when you get kind of these kind of like testosterone movies going on. So, I mean, let's go over the pilot's call signs that you're going to see in the movie. You're going to have Jay Ellis plays Payback, Danny Ramirez plays Fanboy, Coyote. Obviously, we know Miles Teller is going to play Rooster. Bradley Bradshaw, which is a weird name. He's going to be Goose's son in this one. You've also got Glenn Powell plays Hangman. I'm going to nitpick a little bit here because Hangman is just a weird character in this film. He's kind of like a Maverick takeoff. Like, he does everything for himself and by himself, and he doesn't think about his team members. But like, they call him Hangman because he leaves you out to dry. It's like, I don't know if that's someone you want to work with at that point in that kind of situation where lives and freedoms and missions are at stake at that point. But super fun. Anyway, he's a real good guy. If you've ever seen Scream Queens, Glenn's hilarious. Monica Barbeau plays Lieutenant Natasha Phoenix Trace. She's one of the female pilots in there. I've got to go out and give a shout out to what's his name? Bashir Salahuddin plays Bernie Hondo Coleman. Every scene this guy's in, he steals the show. He's like Maverick's assistant, like his helper on their government projects. Dude's amazing. You might remember him from Glow, and he's on something else now. So I mean, on Glow, he was I can't remember what her name is. He was her husband. He was always played the referee. But he's in something else. It'll come to me at some point. But like, if you watch Glow, I mean, the guy's great. You gotta see him in this. He's not in the movie all the time, but when he is, he's amazing. Ed Harris shows up randomly as an Admiral Kane in this film. He's only in it for like one scene, and I've always wondered about Ed Harris. Like, is he really that like grumpy and angry and really? Because he never plays anyone happy. Like, anytime you see Ed Harris, he's just like an angry guy. Like National Treasure 2, The Rock, like even The Abyss, he was like semi-happy, but still not at the same time. So I just want, like, is he just a happy guy? They just give him these like grumpy old man roles for now. Like, even in Glengarry Glen Ross, he was probably just cursing every 5 seconds. John Hamm plays Vice Admiral Bo Cyclone Simpson, who's a graduate of the Top Gun program. Jennifer Connelly takes over the love interest role from Kelly McGillis in Top Gun. They're not the same character. She's just like an admiral's daughter. And in Top Gun, they do mention Maverick, having some fun with an admiral's daughter at that point. Let's get to the performances. I mean, Tom Cruise is fantastic in returning to the role of Pete Mitchell, Maverick. After 36 years of sitting on the sideline, 33 years, I guess, if you want to be specific, he hasn't missed a beat with his performances. Like, he created this character. It's a character that helped shape his own career, and, I kind of compare it to Harrison Ford returning in the Han Solo role all those years later. It's, there's no learning curve for him. He doesn't forget how to play the role. He just steps back into it. He never looks back, and he just goes full speed ahead. Like, I don't know. It's hard to see where Tom Cruise ends and Maverick, Pete Mitchell, begins at that point, because that's just how in tune he is with this character. Val Kilmer does return as Tom Iceman Kazansky. When it was announced that Val was going to be coming back, and he really wanted to come back, and Tom really wanted him to come back for this role, I was curious how they would handle it, only because we know about his health struggles the last few years. If you've seen that documentary on Prime called Val, you know how much his illness and the treatments have taken a toll on him personally and professionally. Like, he can't really talk anymore. I mean, this was 3 years ago when they filmed it, so he could still talk a little bit, but now, I think his voice is like fully recreated by computers at this point. But Val is still one of the best actors in the world today. Don't forget that. I mean, this is someone that went to Juilliard at the time of his admittance to Juilliard. He was the youngest person ever accepted there in the 80s. No matter what you think of him and the issues he's had with directors and colleagues and other actors and people behind the set, his work ethic in general, the man just oozes acting talent, and you can't deny him that. That's one thing you can't take away from Val Kilmer. The scenes between Maverick and Ice, I mean, they're heartbreaking to watch, because you've waited so long to see these two face off together, and when they're finally face to face before, you kind of see Maverick still himself, and Ice he's diminished, and you can tell it's heartbreaking to see it on film, but you also know how much Val's hurting on the inside, that he can't be what he once was. He can't really talk anymore, like I said. But you also see how the passage of time affects both men in the film. They had an intense rivalry, when they were at Top Gun together. Iceman and Maverick is a legendary rivalry. It ended up costing Maverick his best friend, his RIO, Goose. But putting that aside, these guys are actually, at heart, they're brothers. And they love each other. And it's a bond that few people get to experience. Maverick saved Ice's life in Top Gun. And in Top Gun Maverick, you can see, Ice is a, admiral, the commander of the Pacific Fleet, where Maverick is still just a captain because he's never progressed to that way. Maybe because of his personality, maybe he doesn't want to at that point. But Ice is still paying Maverick back for saving his life, 30, 35, 33 years ago at that point. He keeps giving him chance after chance, and the Navy wants to get rid of him. It's mentioned, Ed Harris's character mentions, you should be a 2-star admiral by now, but, you're just a captain. Obviously the Navy's done with you. We don't want you here, but you have a benefactor that keeps saving you. So Ice keeps, reaching out to Maverick and giving him lifelines and more work at that point. Don't let me bore you. Like I said, I'm already at the 11-minute mark, so I don't want to bore you guys with any more nostalgia or anything Top Gun related like that. The flight scenes are absolutely incredible. You need to see this movie in theaters. So when we saw it, it was in Dolby. You got the surround sound in your head, and, you're sitting there, you're watching this, and these guys are hitting like 9 Gs, and they're flying back and forth, and you actually feel like you're there in these action sequences, and it's incredible to see, especially how Joseph Kalinske filmed it. A lot of this was made to be seen in a theater, and, I'm not saying you need to go to a theater to see you. I don't expect you guys to be like me, where you're obsessed with sitting in a movie theater for however amount of time, but it's something that needs to be experienced in a theater, in my view. The director, Joseph Kalinske, so they shot this whole thing in like an IMAX format, and they actually had the cameras in the cockpit with these pilots when they were doing it. So, they shot it in something called, I think, IMAX certified Sony 6K full screen or some kind of crazy cameras like that. And there are theaters that have, different setups where, the theater will open wide and you kind of feel like you're also in the air with these guys as they're going. So it's absolutely insane. They went all out for this film, and they didn't really spare any, expense when it comes to that. Tom does his own stunts, and he wants everything to be as real as possible because he's experiencing it, and he wants you to experience it as well at that point. So, like I said, they're going to go on this, mission to do what they have to do, and, things come up on the team. They don't all trust each other. They don't know how to work together because they are the best at what they do. So when you're putting that kind of, tension in a situation of who's the best, who's going to do this, I'm better than you, and they have to learn to work as a team. So it is like a Top Gun aspect, but it's not just one team going for it. All these teams have to work together to hit their objective. And, Miles Teller is great as Goose's son. Him and Maverick are obviously going to have tension, and it's not the tension you'd think. Bradley's fully aware of what happened to Goose at that point, but there is unspoken tension about why Maverick and him don't see eye to eye or get along. And I'm not going to ruin that for you guys, but it's never really touched on in the movie if it's because of what happened to Goose, but they do state other reasons. So it's never stated if they have a personal relationship before that. Obviously Maverick knows who he is, he's watched him grow up, but it doesn't really state if they were ever really connected going forward after Goose's death and the 30 years that have passed. One thing I will say, I don't know really a lot about naval hierarchy at that point, how it comes to rankings, but I didn't really know a lot of pilots become admirals in the Navy in some rank. I don't know if that's actually true. Don't if you know and you know the answer, please let me know. But there's John Hamm plays an admiral who's a Top Gun graduate, and then obviously Iceman's an admiral now. I just don't remember when I'm watching Joint Chiefs of Staff meeting, you've never seen oh, this guy was a naval pilot and now he's an admiral. I guess there's a lot of pilot admirals these days, I guess. The second part of the movie drags a little bit, only because it's more about Jennifer Connelly's character and the love story between her and Maverick evolving from there at that point. But for the most part, this movie goes 100 miles an hour. It's always in your face. I can't rave enough about the flight sequences in this movie. Just the way they shot them, just the way Joseph shot them was absolutely incredible. But Top Gun Maverick easily gets a 5 out of 5 from me. It's one of the best movies of the year, one of the best action films we've seen in a long time, maybe ever. Not saying it's the best action movie of all time, but it's one of them. You know, however you want to rank that list. Don't doubt what I'm saying until you see it, because this movie will absolutely blow you away. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. And I don't say that just because I love all things Top Gun. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Everybody to finally see it at this point. You know, it's been a long time coming for us fans, and people that might not be Top Gun fans. Like, you don't have to be a huge lover of the original to love this movie, and that's something that's great about it. Like, even if you're like just a casual fan or someone that's seen it in passing, which everybody has apparently, except my wife, who I had to make watch it last week. But you're gonna love Top Gun. Tom does an incredible job. The cast is great. Him and Miles, them playing off each other, is incredible. And like I said, just to see Val and Tom as Iceman and Maverick just back together again, you'll see when you see the scene, like, Val can't talk, but he doesn't need to talk, where you can see the emotion in his face at that point. You can see how committed he is to the role and how, everything like that. That's one thing I forgot to mention that I want to. Like, he types on the screen a lot of the time, and like Maverick just reads his words, and like they can just sit in a room and just read each other that way. And it's sad, it's heartbreaking, but it's also awesome to see them back together again. So everybody needs to go see Top Gun Maverick this week when it comes out. Thursday, Friday. Everybody says it comes out Friday the 27th. You can go see it on Thursday. Go see Maverick. Leave me some, what you guys thought. I can't wait for everybody to see it. Top Gun Maverick, 5 out of 5 from me. Stay safe. Have a good weekend. I feel the need for speed. See you guys.